We made 4 out of 5 hits last night and made you all kinds of money, ho. 4-1. You can't beat that. Let's review. As once again, I'm doing the Ferrall The Prophet Podcast on my own because Sissy Lips is traveling. Your boy was first in the San Juan Islands, riding bicycles for a week. Then he went to Napa to drink red wine for a week. And now he's flying to the Windy City for an advertising show that I think is Monday. So he's going to set it up all weekend. And then Monday he's got the show, and it just never ends with this guy. So your boy has to come through in the clutch as usual. Not only do I hit all the bets for you and make you all the money, but I got to do the fucking shows too, which isn't a problem because I love talking to you freaks. So last night, how about that beauty? It was 3-all Yankees and Red Sox, and the Yankees win it 4-3, and we kept it under 7.5, and that was minus 120. So boom, that ticket hit on a max profit play. And we had the Dodgers minus 1.5 at minus 120 against the Reds. And they were down 2-0 in the first after Teoscar Hernandez dropped a fly ball in right field, leading to 2 runs. Of course it did. But they won the game 8-4 and covered on the run line. So we hit both max profit plays. We hit the elite play, Cleveland minus 121. We had it on Bet Riv against the Tigers in that game at Progressive in Cleveland at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the fans are going nuts, and they got it done. What sucked was we had the under 6.5, and they scored 5 runs in the 8th inning, and the game went over. Otherwise, we would have had a perfect night. But we did hit the Padres at even money at Wrigley. Manny Machado with a 2-run shot to deep left field over the wall at Wrigley, and they win it 3-0 over the Cubs. The deciding game is today, so we hit that. So we hit a profit play, an elite play, and both max profit plays for a healthy night of making money. So now we move on to Thursday, and of course, you know what's happening, right? So the first game's at 3:08, Detroit and Cleveland. And here's the setup in this one. It's Flaherty against Ciccone. Ciccone's the guy with the big mouth. They were 10 games back, and the guy said, we're going to win the division. And he basically said, we play the same every day. Whether we win, whether we lose, whether we've lost 10 in a row, we show up ready to go, energized, committed. And sure enough, they won the Central. Are they going to win today? We'll see. Flaherty's never pitched all that well against Cleveland. Not this year, not ever. But you've seen him in the World Series pitching great for the Dodgers, right? And he has pitched great for the Tigers. And we'll see if he can pitch great for him today in a Game 3 winner-take-all in Cleveland. Like I said, the game's at 3:08 in the afternoon. There's only 3 games today. The second game is the Padres and Cubs on the north side of Chicago at Wrigley at 5:08. The first game at 3:08 is on ABC. The second game at Wrigley is on ESPN. And in this puppy, after Machado's big home run to take game 2, setting up a winner-take-all today, it's Yu Darvish for the Friars against Jameson shots of Tyone for the Cubs. Now that's going to be a hell of a pitching matchup and a great game. And believe it or not, the Cubs are favored. They're minus 118 right now. And that's what Cleveland's favored by, minus 118 to take game 3 in Cleveland over Flaherty and the Tigers. The last game is the game of the day, and it's at night. It's at 8:08 in the Boogie Down Bronx at 161st and River Ave. It's the Red Sox and the Yankees for the world. And how about this? Rookies are going in this game. At least they're starting. It won't last if they don't do well. The first guy is Conley Early. Who the fuck is that? Against your boy for the Yankees, Cam Slitler. This guy throws gas. I know that much. Can he handle the stress and the pressure? He went 4-3 with a 2.96 ERA. Early's got no numbers. They kept showing Early on the dugout bench up on the wall during the game last night. I didn't know who the hell he was when they were showing him. Now I know who he is because I see his face again, and he's got to face the Bombers tonight. New York, a heavy favorite, minus $1.62, if you can even believe it. The games have been great, and we hit the Dodgers last night. We told you they won 8-4. They're going to play the Phillies, and I'll tell you when that's starting. The games are in Philly, at least the first couple of games. I think it starts on Saturday, believe it or not. Game 1. It is Saturday, Game 1 on TBS. They haven't announced the time yet, and we don't know anything about the game as of right now. Who's pitching? I think it might be Ohtani. We'll see if he's the starting pitcher for Game 1 of the division series against the fighting Phils in Philadelphia, right? So anyway, only 3 baseball games today, but we got a lot more than that going on, including Thursday night football in Lipstick City. It's the Niners and Rams. NFC West rivalry, a showdown between two teams that don't like each other. And of course, when you think about it, the Niners have all kinds of problems. First of all, Purdy's not going to play again. He came back last week, looked terrible. He was out for a couple games with the toe injury, and he came back last week but came out of the game with soreness in the toe, and he didn't recover quick enough in the short week to play on Thursday night, so Mac Jones will get the start in his place. He led him to wins against the Saints and Arizona already this season. He didn't play badly at all. In fact, I think Mac Jones played better than Brock Purdy has this season when you put them up against each other. They gave Purdy all this money. I knew they were going to regret that, to be honest. I think he's overrated. They treat him like he's, honestly, one of the best quarterbacks in the league with the money that they're paying him. He's no Joe Montana, Romeo. Trust me, you. They're going to be without the Niners. Their top 2 receivers, with Ricky Pearsall out with a knee, Juwan Jennings out with ribs and ankle problems. Tight end George Kittle already on the injured reserve list with a hamstring injury. The Rams have won 3 straight over the Niners for the first time in the careers of McVay and Shanahan. The Rams have won before that, like never against the Niners. The Niners had won 9 of 10 before they lost these 3 straight. The first game without Nick Bosa didn't go well for the Niners. They had just 5 quarterback pressures with no sacks and no quarterback hits last week against the Jaguars. And they got their ass beat at home, at Levi's, in Santa Clara. It was the first time they had no sacks or a quarterback hit in a game since week 2 of the 2015 season. And they allowed 151 yards rushing. I think that's why the number is 8.5. The Rams are favored by 8.5 in this football game tonight. That's a gigantic number. I always think 7.5 is a bad number. Jesus, what is 8.5? It's terrible. The total is 45. Everybody thinks that the Rams are going to light them up. Like 54% of the public's on the Rams laying the 8.5. 91% think they're going to win the game on the money line. And the under's live at around 69% right now. But that game is tonight. Also, there's a college football game tonight in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And this game is going on at Memorial Stadium. It's Sam Houston against New Mexico State. New Mexico State is 2-2. and Sam Houston is already 0-4. Now, I just want to look at Sam Houston and see what they've done. Like, they got pasted by Texas, 55 points they put on them. And they lost at Hawaii 37-20. They lost to UNLV 38-21. And they lost at Western Kentucky 41-24. So everyone that plays them lights them up. That's just all there is to it. 53.5 is the total in Las Cruces tonight. Believe it or not, there's NBA preseason action tonight. Actually, it's today. Can you imagine? They're playing at noon, this game. I got to see where this game is. I heard about this game. It's in Abu Dhabi at noon our time in New York. It's the Knicks and Sixers. Who cares? The Knicks are laying 6.5 against the Sixers in Abu Dhabi. Whatever. So I want to talk about college football for Saturday. Hopefully the next time we get the Prophet on with us for Ferrall and the Prophet, it'll be Saturday, because everybody's favorite show is the Saturday podcast. Because what do we do on Saturdays? Well, we make you a fortune is what we do. And you know it. Because, we have our 5 pay picks that people pay for with the packages, the Profit package, the Max Profit package, the Elite package. You should sign up and get a package. I don't know what you're waiting for. But on Saturdays, we give out all the college football games from noon until bedtime. And we tell you who we like in every single game. Free. Free is me. Everybody loves free, right? So we do all the picks on Saturday free. And we also give you Sunday NFL Pain Day picks free. So we'll give you the game in London, and we'll give you the rest of the games on the NFL docket for Sunday on that Saturday show. First of all, I need a coffee break. It's crucial. But let's take a look at the very least. Here we go. We'll start with the top 25 games on this week's docket. All right, so these look like, to me, every game, right? You'd think they'd have them ranked, but they don't. So I'm just going to see if I can get this in. I'll figure it out as I go. I'm just going to tell you what's happening Friday night, okay? These are unranked games Friday night. Western Kentucky and Delaware at Delaware on CBS Sports Network at 7, and Delaware's laying 2.5. Western Kentucky's 4-1, Delaware's 3-1. Charlotte and South Florida. That game's in Tampa. South Florida's 3-1. They're laying 28.5, 7 o'clock on the Deuce. Charlotte's 1-3. Also, New Mexico at San Jose State. New Mexico's 3-1. This is at 10 o'clock on FS1. San Jose State's favored by 2.5. Meanwhile, they can't get out of their own way. That might be an opportunity there for New Mexico, I'll tell you that much. That's a big spread for South Florida to cover. I've seen them look good, and then I've seen them look terrible when Miami spanked their ass. And I'll tell you what, Western Kentucky, it's not going to be easy to go to Delaware and win that game, but they're better than Delaware. They're 4-1, and they mean business, and they're getting 2.5. I wouldn't be that surprised they get it done there. Also Friday night, West Virginia against number 23 BYU. Of course, the Cougars are 4-0. They're undefeated. Last week, we gave you Colorado and 6.5 against BYU, and we hit that bet. BYU won the game, but they didn't cover. BYU's laying 18.5 in Provo against the Mountaineers, who are 2-3, and they do not look good basically right now for Rich Rodriguez. Also, Friday night, 10:30 on CBS Sports Network, Colorado State and San Diego State. The Aztecs at home at Snapdragon Stadium. That's where the young gun, my son, goes to school. He's not going to be at that game on Friday night, though, because he's going to be taking a red-eye home. My wife, 34C's sister, passed away yesterday. She had advanced dementia. It was the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. I mean, you talk about suffering and torture. What that disease does to people is the craziest thing I've ever seen. She's gone, though. The suffering's over. She's passed and moved on to a cushier gig up above. And hopefully she's going to run into some of our relatives up there and party with them and be rid of that awful advanced dementia. It was the worst thing I've ever seen happen to somebody. What happened to her, 68 years old, is absolute bullshit. But the young gun will be flying home on a red eye for the funeral, and he won't be at that game. San Diego State is 3-1. They're laying 6.5. 41.5 is the total. Like I said, 10:30 on CBS Sports Network Friday night. All right, Saturday. Here's some of the big heavyweight games. How about Boise and number 21 Notre Dame in South Bend at 3:30 on NBC? The Irish are laying 20 and a hook. 63.5 is the total. Boy, did they look fantastic last week in Fayetteville, putting a 56-point beatdown on Pittman's Razorbacks. I can't believe that guy didn't get fired already. Notre Dame looked really good. Boise's 3-1. Can they handle it in South Bend? I doubt it. Remember, if Notre Dame runs the tables, they're going to go to the college football playoff. They played all these heavyweights. I mean, let's face facts. When you have a schedule like they do, when you play Miami to open your season, you lose by 3. You lose by 1 to A&M in South Bend. Then you spank Purdue, spank Arkansas. The rest of the way, they got Boise, NC State in South Bend, USC in South Bend, BC in Chestnut Hill, Navy in South Bend. They play at Pitt on November 15th. They play Cuse at South Bend, and they play at Stanford on November 29th, and they will beat their ass because Stanford absolutely blows horsecock. I mean, they really do when you think about it. Not just normal, like, they get like full-on horsecock. Can you say that on the radio? I think you can on the Ferrall and the Prophet Podcast. We're going to let that one slip right by. Shake out. Ooh. All right, Saturday at noon on ABC, Kentucky and number 12, Georgia, after they vomited all over themselves against Alabama at Sanford Stadium in Athens, between the hedges. They still can't beat the Tide, but they beat everybody else. They're laying 20 and a hook against a 2-2 Kentucky team that's going to get beat on by the Bulldogs. They cannot beat Alabama. Kirby Smart cannot beat Alabama. And I was stupid enough to bet on Georgia again, knowing that they can't beat Alabama. And I still did it like a fucking idiot. And they beat everyone else. You know they'll win this game and get it done. Number 14, Iowa State is at Cincinnati at noon on the Deuce. Cincinnati is laying 1.5. They're favored at home. I don't know if you saw that game last week that they played, but it was wild. They won in Lawrence against Kansas 37-34, and they have looked good. They beat up on Northwestern State. That was easy. They put 70 on them. They beat Bowling Green 34-20, and they lost by 3 at home to Nebraska. Iowa State has looked fantastic. Obviously, they've won every game. They covered for us last week against Arizona 39-14. They beat Arkansas State 24-16. They beat Iowa, but didn't cover by a hook. They were laying 3.5. They won by 3. They pounded South Dakota, and they beat K-State in the College Football Classic in Ireland to kick off the season. So they're legit 5-0, but they're dogs at Cincinnati. Can Cincinnati pull off the upset of Iowa State on Saturday in the Queen City? Number 20, Michigan's finally playing a football game. They're taking on Wisconsin in Ann Arbor at the Big House at noon on Fox. Michigan's laying 17.5. Wisconsin's 2-2. The Wolverines looked really good in a big win in Lincoln at Memorial against the Huskers that we cashed an elite ticket for you on. They're 3-1. Number 22, Illinois, cashed a ticket for us last week against USC in Champaign-Urbana. They're playing Purdue in West Lafayette at Ross-Ade Stadium. Illinois is laying 9.5 at noon on the Big Ten Network. Purdue's 2-2. I think they basically suck. Moving on, Boston College and Pitt are playing in the Steel City at Acrisure. The Panthers are 2-2. BC's 1-3 for O'Brien. Pitt's laying 6.5 here. That could be dangerous. It's at noon on the ACC Network. Clemson and North Carolina playing in Chapel Hill. Clemson laying 14.5 at noon on ESPN. How are they laying 14.5 against anybody? Clemson blows. They're 1-3. They don't win. They're having their worst season ever. Dabo, he needs to quit talking out of the side of his mouth about how great he is as a coach. Those days are long gone, brother. And maybe they should fire his ass. And he talks about, I'm 55, I'll go coach somewhere else and win. Famous last words. K-State's at Baylor at noon in Waco. Baylor's laying 6.5. Baylor's 3-2. K-State bounced back last week. They're 2-3. Air Force and Navy in Annapolis. The Middies are 4-0. They're laying 12.5. Air Force lost to Hawaii last week at home in Colorado Springs. They're 1-3. This game's on CBS and on Paramount. Army's at UAB at noon. Army's laying 6.5. I bet against Army and I cashed tickets. UAB's 2-2. Ohio's at Ball State. Ohio laying 14.5. Ohio's 3-2. Ball State. Testicle Tech 1-3. Wake Forest is at Va Tech. And that one's in Blacksburg. Va Tech laying 6.5. They had a huge upset win last week. Boy, did they need that. They beat North Carolina State 23-21 in Raleigh. Wake Forest is coming off the loss in overtime to Georgia Tech. We hit that game. That was fantastic. We hit the over in that game. When it went to overtime, tied, and we needed overtime to get the cover. So Wake Forest and Va Tech laying 6.5, 1 o'clock on the CW. Texas San Antonio's at Temple. San Antonio's laying 6.5. I'm going to skip some of these crappy ones. Western Michigan at UMass. Western Michigan laying 13.5. UMass is 0-4. Oklahoma State, they fired Mike Gundy. They're playing at Arizona. Oklahoma State covered last week. Arizona at home in the desert. They're 3-1. They're laying 20 and a hook. It's at 3 o'clock on TNT. And then number 7 Penn State is playing at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. The game's at 3:30 on CBS. Penn State laying 25.5. They're coming off the loss at Beaver Stadium to Oregon in double overtime. Franklin never beats anyone that's ranked. That's just all there is to it. Or teams in the top 10. So if you're ranked, he doesn't win. And if you're top 10, he never wins. Number 9, Texas is 3-1 with Arch Manning. They're playing at the Swamp in Gainesville against Florida. Texas laying 6.5, 3:30 on ESPN. Here's a good game. How about number 16, Vandy? They're 5-0 against number 10, Alabama. They're 3-1 coming off the win over Georgia. Bama's laying 10.5, 3:30 on ABC. 55.5 is the total. Vandy's 5-0. Stop the press. Number 24, Virginia's at Louisville. Louisville's laying 6.5. Louisville's 4-0. Virginia's 4-1. Virginia just beat Florida State in that crazy game that obviously you saw last week that went to double overtime at Scott Stadium in Charlottesville. They won. They beat Florida State. They mean business. That's going to be a great game. Like I said, Louisville laying 6.5, 3:30 on the deuce. Washington's at Maryland. Washington looked horrible against Ohio State. What a pussy performance they put on. Getting 9, they got racked by the Buckeyes. Now they face 4-0 Maryland. Washington's laying 6.5. There's a live dog for you. The Terps getting 6.5 at home, 3:30 on Big Ten Network. Monroe's at Northwestern. NU laying 11.5, 3:30 on Big Ten Network. Oregon State's at App State. App State laying 1.5. Oregon State's 0-5. I think App State will beat them. Houston, SMU in Dallas. SMU laying 17.5. 3:30 on the ACC Network. FIU, Florida International's at UConn. 3:30 on CBS Sports Network. UConn laying 7.5. JMU's at Georgia State. JMU laying 19.5. They're 3-1. Georgia State's 1-3. Central Michigan at Akron at 3:30. Central Michigan laying 7.5. Eastern Michigan at Buffalo. Buffalo's laying 10.5. Miami of Ohio at Northern Illinois. Miami of Ohio laying 4.5. They're both 1-3. Number 5, Oklahoma without Mateer, their quarterback. 4-0. They're laying 45.5 to Kent State. 4 o'clock on SEC Network in Norman. Michigan State's at Nebraska at Memorial in Lincoln. Nebraska laying 11.5. 4 o'clock on FS1. That might be a better game than 11.5 with the 3-1 Sparty coming to town. Texas State's at Arkansas State. Texas State laying 13.5. They're 3-1. Ark State's 1-4. That could be a live dog. They're going to be better than that in that football game on their home turf. Coastal's at Old Dominion at 6 o'clock. Old D's laying 20 and a hook. Number 11, Texas Tech is at Houston. They're both 4-0. What a game. 7 o'clock on ESPN. Texas Tech laying 10.5. I might grab that 10.5 with the Cougs at home. UNLV's at Wyoming and Laramie at 7 o'clock. The Rebels are 4-0. They're laying 3.5. South Bama's at Troy. Troy laying 1.5. FAU's at Rice at 7. Rice laying 4.5. Minnesota's at number 1, Ohio State. It's homecoming in Columbus at the Shoe. Ohio State laying 23.5, 7:30 on NBC. The Buckeyes, to me, clearly with saying the quarterback and all the talent they have at receiver, up front, their defense, their pass rush, their secondary, they are clearly, to me, the favorites to win the national championship again. They're the best team in college football, hands down. No questions asked. If you ask me, that's who I think, whether you like it or not. Another doozy. It's the Canes, ranked 3rd in the land. It's all about the U, baby. Playing Florida State. They're still ranked after that loss to Virginia. They're ranked 18th. Miami laying 4.5 at 7:30 on ABC in prime time in Tallahassee. Mississippi State's 4-1. They're at 4-0. A&M at Kyle Field. The Aggies are ranked 6, 7:30 on SEC Network. A&M laying 14.5. I kind of like the Bulldogs with the points there. I don't think A&M's going to blow them out. I think it'll be a good game. I could be wrong. Colorado's at TCU at 7:30 on Fox. TCU in Fort Worth laying 13.5. Kansas is at Central Florida in Orlando. Kansas laying 4.5, 7:30 on the Deuce. I kind of like Central Florida at home, getting the 4.5 to win outright. And then Tulsa's at Memphis. Memphis is 5-0. They're laying 20 and a hook, 8 o'clock. That game. Duke and Cal in Berkeley at 10:30 on ESPN. Duke laying 2.5. The Blue Devils are 3-2. Cal's 4-1. I kind of think their quarterback's sloppy, though. I bet against Cal and I've won. That was the game against San Diego State when the Aztecs beat them 38-0. And finally, Nevada and Fresno State at 10:30 on CBS Sports Network in Fresno. They're 4-1. Nevada's 1-3. Fresno laying 13 and a hook. All right, here's the NFL schedule for this weekend. Besides the game tonight in LA with the Niners and Rams, Sunday you've got the game in London. It's the Vikings and Browns, and it's at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Vikings 2-2. They just lost to the Steelers in Ireland. Now they play in London against the 1-3 Browns. Minnesota laying 3.5. The 1 o'clock games are Texans and Ravens in Baltimore and the Charm City. They're both 1-3. Houston's laying 1.5. Houston favored in Baltimore. Can you even believe it? Giants and Saints in Nolans. Giants finally won a game. They beat the Chargers New Orleans favored, laying 1.5, and they're winless. Broncos and Eagles at the Lincoln for Philadelphia. Phillies laying 3.5. They're 4-0. The Broncos coming off a win Monday night, and they're 2-2 now. They beat Cincinnati's ass and covered for us. We hit both Monday night games. All right, so Cowboys and Jets, it's Snoopy. That's going to be a good one. I think the Jets, they've never started ever 0-5. Well, they're 0-4, so it could happen. Dallas is laying 2.5. The Raiders and Colts are in Indy at Lucas Oil. Indy's laying 6.5. They finally lost the game. It was tied 20-all, but Stafford threw the 88-yard bomb with under 2 minutes to go, and the Rams won it by 7 and covered for us on an elite ticket on Sunday. You love that. So Colts Raiders, Colts laying 6.5. Also at 1, Dolphins and Panthers in Charlotte. Miami's laying 1.5. We hit Miami on Monday night. They got it done against the Jets. They're both 1-3 going into that game. Now the 4:05 game, it starts with Bucks and Seahawks in Seattle. They're both 3-1. Seattle's laying 3.5. Also Titans and Cards in the desert at the Toaster in Glendale. Arizona's laying 7.5 to the 0-4 Titans with Cam Ward. At 4:25, Commanders and Chargers. The Chargers are laying 2.5. And the Commanders are 2-2, Chargers 3-1. Also at 4:25, Lions and Bengals in the Queen City in Cincy. Detroit's laying 10.5. They're 3-1. The Bengals are a mess with Browning running things. No Joey Silk. The Bengals are 2-2. So I want to give you the Sunday night game. It's on NBC at 8:20. It's the Pats and Bills and shoving off to Buffalo. The Bills are laying 7.5. They're 4-0. They didn't cover against the Saints, though, did they? Taking on Vrabel's Pats. And then Monday night, only one game on the Monday Night Football card this week. 2 last week and 1 this week. 8:15 on ABC Monday night. That's the 6th. It's the Chiefs who finally got their footing. They're 2-2. Taking on I think the most impressive sleeper and surprise team in the NFL this year, the Jags and Liam Cohen. They're 3-1. They just went to San Francisco and beat the Niners' ass. They're at home in Duval County. The Chiefs are still laying 3.5. Chiefs are favored, laying 3.5. Go figure. You know what's happening next week, right? The NHL season starts up next week on the 7th. That's right. Hockey is back and the games will count. You got baseball playoffs going on. You can't beat it, right? So I wanted to give you some comments about the Ryder Cup. There's no doubt that Europe kicked the U.S. ass at Bethpage Black in Strong Island Playa. They deserved it. They got it done under very hostile conditions with drunk, disorderly, ruthless, foul-mouthed fans that were out there on the island at Bethpage. They abused the players. They were disgusting and repulsive. But what do you expect? That's what's going to happen in a Ryder Cup. This isn't, hands in your pockets, golf, PGA Tour style when everybody's quiet on every shot. This is Phoenix, the Waste Management, when they're rowdy and they're drunk and they're throwing beers. They're not throwing beers. I guess they threw a beer, maybe, allegedly, at Rory's wife, which is bullshit. That's stupid. That's dumb. What are you doing? You're an asshole. But the reality is Rory and Lowry and all of his teammates, they got basically what they had coming to them in the United States when you play in the Ryder Cup. When they played in Rome, the European fans blew shit to the American players. Don't give me that. I put a tweet out talking about, Europe is no different than the States when it comes to drunken fans. They're the original hooligans. English soccer fans are the most vile fans in the world in sports. I mean, they're the most passionate. They're perhaps the best fans. They're the craziest fans. They're the wildest fans. But they're racist. I mean, they throw bananas at black players in Premier League games. It's absolute bullshit. They treat them like shit. They abuse them. They yell racial comments at every game. They're nasty. And then when it's the Ryder Cup, it's the same thing. They're not going to sit there and let the Americans do whatever they want and not give them shit. So I think it's tit for tat. I think it's the same thing in America. I think it's just the same in Europe, across the pond. They deserved the Ryder Cup. They beat us fair and square. They played way better golf. They dominated on Friday, dominated on Saturday. The Americans rallied on Sunday, thought they were going to come back and steal it, but they didn't. And Europe got it done. And all anyone can talk about, Tom Watson and others, is the behavior of American fans. Well, if you don't like the way fans act at the Ryder Cup when it's mano a mano, player against player, team against team, then don't fucking have the goddamn event. If you don't want rowdy fans, then don't play the Ryder Cup. Don't have those competitions, because if you have them, this is what you're going to get in 26, 27, 28, 29, 2030, moving forward, whenever they have it every couple years. This is what happens when you let people cheer for sides and players and teams and drink all day and get that close to the ropes. And I mean, there were just gigantic amounts of fans, thousands of them, crazy, and drunk ass all day. What do you think people are going to do when they're drunk? They're going to act like this. That's what happens. So calm the fuck down. Like all this talk of the Americans are so awful. Well, we already knew that. Go to NFL games. Go to Yankee Stadium. Go to Fenway. Go to a game at the Boston Garden. You want to hear some racial shit. I mean, it happens, whether you like it or not. If you go to NFL games, I have season tickets to the Steelers. I sit in a section, I hear abusive language the entire game. I mean, vile, disgusting, abusive language, racial shit, you name it, it comes flying out. And you know why? It's because they pour drinks all day and they just get hammered. They tailgate and get hammered. They get in the stadium and they keep getting hammered. It's just, 70,000 fucking drunks. And I'll say at least 50,000 of them are drunk and maybe 20,000 aren't. And boy, it's a long ride for those that aren't drinking to put up with the shit you got to put up with at American sports venues. Fucking swearing at the Ryder Cup and abusing players. What a bunch of pussies. I gotta tell you, I think the European players cried like a bunch of fucking pussies. All they did was complain about the fans and they argued with them. You start telling fans to fuck off and you're gonna get it back in spades. Know that shit. I know that. I just saw a sweat bead rolling on my eyelid. It was gonna bounce off and go right into my eyeball. Anyway, you get a kick-ass Ferrall and the Prophet show today with your boy Ferrall, without your boy the Prophet, who's never around, always vacationing, always off gallivanting, drinking wine. Now he's off to a show in Chicago. I can't keep pace with him. We got this whole thing going on with this network. I don't know why it hasn't started yet. I give up. I've tried everything to get it started. It's supposed to be started. It's supposed to be going already. It's supposed to already drop. And then we can announce to you what it is, and it's very exciting, it's very cool, but I'm not going to say nothing until it happens. I keep waiting for it to happen, and hopefully it'll happen. I'm jonesing for it to happen. As soon as it happens, you'll be the first to know. Make sure you watch the Max Profit videos and Profit Play videos today. Get your elite plays for Thursday the 2nd, and you're styling. We'll see you again with another Ferrall and the Prophet episode on Saturday, before all the college football games, and hopefully we'll drop the show before noon and all the kickoffs. Have a great Thursday. Check out.